I'm Dr. Natalie Phillips, host of Just Connect, a show where we chat about connections through social media, learning opportunities, and through the people we meet every day. Join me every Wednesday on Facebook Live at 5:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I am an audiologist, a business owner, an entrepreneur, and a connector. This life is about connecting for the right reasons and to the right people. I believe making authentic and true connections lead to growth, change, and impacting the world.
All right. Hello, everyone. Good to see you. I am just racing back here. For those of you who saw my feed earlier, that was pretty funny. I was actually in a photo shoot today, and I had to dress up in like biblical character garb. So I'm like rushing around trying to make sure that I can get back and do the show today. Hello, Elizabeth Lyons. Good to see you. Hello, Cindy. Thanks for joining me. And hello, Lee Ann Rhinesmith. Thank you for jumping on the show today. Like I was saying, I've been running around this afternoon, evening, whatever it is, racing from work. I had to run and do a photo shoot real quick for this awesome place called Group Publishing. They do a lot of photos for my kids. And so they had asked me, and my kids were laughing. They're like, "You're going to do a photo shoot?" And I was like, I guess they need people that look different. So anyway, made it back. Just sat down, but I am so excited for this topic. We had an amazing time at our event called Unbreakable, Finding Strength in Imperfection, put on by Connect for Excellence, and then also the We Spot with Sarah Monaris. And it has been, for those of you who have seen my feed in the last few days, oh my goodness, it has been incredible, just kind of coming down off of that high, but also not really that, but just, man, it was an emotional kind of really needed event. And I have heard from so many people that have attended. I've heard from people who haven't attended that have seen what I've been talking about. And I just wanted to kind of share what we did because I thought it was really incredible. Friday night, what we did was we actually had a beautiful woman named Christina Schnellman share her story. I will not share it here. I will have her share it. Or you can actually tune in Sarah Monaris. Somebody tag her if you know her. She has a podcast, and Christina tells her story on the podcast. So please, if you want to hear Christina's story, which I think you should, because it is incredible. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time she was telling it. You need to go listen to that podcast on the We Spot. You can check it out. But oh my gosh, she started us off, kicked us off. We did an amazing activity that really allowed us to learn about each other as women. Everybody was a woman except for my guys from NoCo FM who were there running the sound. But really walk through things that we've all experienced. And then they were like, things like, oh gosh, I might be able to get this here. Hold on. Because I think it's really interesting. Aha. So I have the sheet. Oh, ruined my hair here. But I have the sheet of things that we did. So it was a sheet that we did here. I'm going to read just a few things. But you had to go through and circle some of these different things if you could identify with this. Such as, I have lost a child. I have been sexually abused. I have gone through a divorce. I have felt rejected. I have felt alone. I have struggled with depression. I've struggled with my weight. I have been emotionally abused. I have failed in a business. I don't have family support. I have lost a parent. I have dealt with anxiety. I'm just skipping around. I struggle with perfectionism. I don't know who I am. I have a hard time letting go. I struggle with anger. I have a hard time owning my story. So there were a lot of these on here. And what we did was we went through and we circled these things. And then we didn't put your name on it, folded it up, took it over to an area, and then we dropped it on the floor. And then we all had to go back and pick up one that, yes, actually it was taken from Rachel Hollis, Elizabeth. So yeah, it was really cool. And then we had to go and pick up another paper, and then that was yours. And so we kind of went through these sheets, and then you had to stand up if that person circled it and you were standing up for that woman. So it was really, really incredible. So that was one of the things that we did on the first day on Friday. On Saturday, we started the morning off with an amazing hike, and it was an adventure for people. We had colored rocks along the way. I'm just trying to see if I can see another sheet of paper that we had here. But we had rocks along the way of our hike, and they were different areas where you had to stop and reflect. So such as, what is the biggest cracked open area of your life? Write out a list of major events you feel have impacted you in a distressing or negative way. The second rock was looking at, look back at the list you created. What are some thoughts and beliefs that you have incorporated into your life surrounding these events? Have you incorporated these beliefs into your life and who you are? The next stop was now focusing on feelings. What feeling does it bring up for you when you reflect on how these events and thoughts have impacted your view of the world and yourself? Write down a list of all the feelings that apply. And then the last stop, where if you made it all the way to the keyhole of this hike, which was Devil's Backbone in Loveland, Colorado, it was the final reflection point. Stop and sit for a moment. Take in the information you've gathered along the way. Are the things these events taught you to believe, are they true? Are they thoughts, feelings, and beliefs you would like to keep carrying around in your life? What are the biggest beliefs that you hold back? What would it look like to not carry these around with you any longer? And then all the women came back and they finished the hike, and then we had somebody walk them through a meditation and finish up just kind of stretching and doing a little bit of things to kind of end that. So it was an incredible event. Then we got back. Sarah Monera shared her story, which, oh my goodness, like I did not know her whole entire story, and it was so, so beautiful to watch the transition of how she dealt with, owning her story and then coming out on the other end just being this beautiful, beautiful vessel. And then I got up there and did some points about the power of connection, and then my friend Kirsten Hegelson came up and did Kintsugi, and that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about today, because it was such an incredible thing. I mean, everything that we did in this art of Kintsugi, everybody learned so many different things. It was really, really interesting. So what we did was I put up some of these. I'm going to put up some of these things. So we started off with some pottery. So this was the pottery that we started off with, and everybody got to choose a piece. You could go to the piece and you could kind of choose it if it spoke to you, or maybe choose it if it was something that you thought that you liked, or whatever it was. Just choose a piece. A lot of people, I don't know if they actually knew what Kintsugi was about, because it was really interesting what we had to do. I'm going to put up another picture. Let me see, so I can show you my pot. Yeah, so that's my pot. So that's my girlfriend Kirsten talking behind my pot. That was the pot that I actually chose, and I'm going to read you off. A friend, Heather Williams, she actually wrote this in her post, and I'm going to read her post real quick because it tells you what we had to do. And it says, "We started with a piece of perfect pottery. We visualized pouring past pain, shame, and fears into the pottery. We then poured love and compassion over those things and let them go. The pottery was then put into a pillowcase, and we were told to break our piece by dropping it, smashing with a hammer, or flinging it over our shoulder. Now our perfect pottery piece was broken." So I'm going to take this down real quick because I actually have a video of me breaking my pottery. So I don't think the sound was on, but it was so funny because I totally let out a roar. It was so funny because when we were doing it, Kirsten kept saying, who's ready to do this? Who's ready to do this? I was literally my hand was raised as high as the ceiling because I was so ready to smash something. I don't know why. I was just so ready to smash something. And so that's what we did. You had a choice of how you wanted to actually smash it. You could put it in the pillowcase. I literally whacked it on the ground. I know a lot of people just took a hammer and just kind of like tapped it a little bit until it broke. I know people just kind of held it and then dropped it. But it was really incredible. One woman, it was interesting. One woman was so upset that after she poured all these feelings into her pottery, she thought she was just leaving with it. And she tried to take it home and she's like, I'm just going to do this tomorrow. And we're like, yeah, you're not doing it tomorrow. We're all doing this together. And she literally, I just felt so bad, but she was crying. She did not want to break this piece of pottery. But we did. Everybody did. And then I'm going to put up here, let's see. That was my pottery that I came back with, and I'm going to put up the matching one here. Those were all the pieces that my beautiful pot broke into. And I'm going to continue to read Heather's post here, because then it said, now our perfect pottery piece was broken. Regardless of how many pieces or how little breaks, the pottery would never go back to what it once was. So we stitched them back into something different. So I will take this down. Anthony, you're so funny. Anthony says, ready to smash something? That is the story of my life. I know. I was so ready to smash something. So we ended up smashing the pieces of pottery that we had. And then we spent some time really building it up with epoxy and gold lacquer. And it was really interesting. Oh, I don't think I did it, but you know what? No. This was the end result. That was the end result. That was everybody's pieces of pottery. You see how the gold is in there? This one in the front, I don't know if you guys can see that small little green one in the front has a little heart in it. And I don't know if you guys can see that or not. It's just right up in the front. It's actually right in front of mine. Mine is the one right in the back. But that one was done. And the woman that was doing that one, there's so many stories I could tell you, but the woman that was actually doing that one that has the heart in it, she was our licensed psychologist that we had here just on the grounds, and we invited her just to be there. And she was so upset that she couldn't find the two pieces that went back in that little piece of pottery. And she was just like, having a hard time, getting frustrated. And some other woman walked by and said, did you know that looks like a heart? And she stepped back from what she was doing and she said, oh my gosh, you are right. You are right. And that's oh my gosh, like I'm getting chills just telling you guys about all of this stuff. So many things happened during that time to different people at different tables, and everybody was experiencing something different. So Heather continues and says, so we stitched them back into something different, something unexpected, something with edges, holes, cracks. Some pieces would be left behind because they no longer fit or served a purpose. I'm totally getting chills. We use strong and beautiful materials to rebuild our pottery into what it's meant to be, and it is once again perfect. It's different now, but it's exactly as it's meant to be, just like you, just like me. Oh my gosh. So that was my post. That was a post from Heather Williams. She attended, she helped plan. I thought that was so beautiful to read. Here was another person I want to read, and then I'm going to share what I learned. There was another woman who shared this. The weekend at Unbreakable was all about finding strength in our imperfections. Who doesn't have those? Well, I found that I have been feeling that all my junk, the things that have happened to me, the things I've done, my circumstances in life, I was feeling like I was alone in all that, and that there was something wrong with me. This weekend, I was reminded powerfully that I am not alone, and those things in my past do not define me, and they have shaped me. Putting this pot back together again after I broke it, I saw something brand new. The broken pieces, lovingly and patiently put back together, made something unique and even more beautiful than it was before. So friend, if you are feeling broken, beat down, lost and alone, know that we all feel that way sometimes, but know that the things you go through do not define you. They make you unique and valuable, strong and powerful. Embrace who you are and who you have become, and reach out for help if you need it. Love yourself and let yourself be loved. Be patient enough to love yourself back together if you feel broken. So, oh my gosh. Okay, so those were two posts from women that attended the event. what I learned, what I learned with my pot was, I looked, first of all, I was so ready to smash it, right? And I looked at my pieces. I laid them all out like you saw, and I just looked at them and I was like, huh. And you guys all know me. Those of you who know me, I'm very, particular and type A. But, I let go. I knew this is what we were going to do. So I wasn't upset. And I kind of like looked at all of them. Everybody else, some people had 5 pieces. Some people had like 10. Some looked like mine. And I thought, well, that's not going back the way it's going to go. But as we were preparing to start gluing some of the pieces together, I sat there and I actually found my foundation. I found all the pieces of the puzzle that actually made the cup on the bottom. And I said out loud, I was like, I said, that's cool. I said, at least I found my whole entire foundation. And my girlfriend that was at the table said, that is so like you. You have this strong foundation and you will not waver. And as long as you have that, you'll be okay. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, you're so right. So that was the start of my journey in Kintsugi. And I started to rebuild and I was getting frustrated. There were times where pieces just didn't fit right. Like it wasn't a puzzle, you just couldn't do it. And so I thought, well, I'll kind of stick it here and then maybe I'll fill in over there. And so there were times where I held a piece there for a long, long time, and you literally have to sit there and hold it for a little bit. If you even slightly move, the epoxy doesn't take, and then you have to hold it there longer. So it's almost like I had to give up control. Yes, Elizabeth, it's a Japanese concept. Yep, Kintsugi. So it's spelled Kintsugi. So there was one thing that I had to do was I had to learn to give up control. The other thing I tried to do, I thought I was being clever, was I had a piece and I put the epoxy on. So you mix this 2-part epoxy on, and then you put like the gold. Well, you could have picked gold, silver, or copper, and you mix that coloring in, and that becomes your glue. But if you do too much of it and it sits, it hardens. So it's really hard. Like you have to kind of do it, and then you have to hurry up and get another piece, or maybe just don't do a big bunch of that epoxy mix. So I was trying to hold it, but I didn't want my other my glue to get bad. So then I tried to prop up a piece that was sitting there with another big piece. And then I went and I took another piece and I was trying to do another one. And you come back and it's glued, but it's not perfect. So the thing that I learned was, for me, just looking at it, trying to juggle too much and trying to, handle too many things at one time, not everything's going to come out right if you don't do it right. The other thing I learned was a girlfriend that was at my table, she was using the same gold. And so we started to say, hey, why don't we just share? Or, you know what? Can you help me because I'm holding these 2 pieces? Will you mix up a little bit for me? So I also learned to ask for help. So there are so many different things that went through my head during this process. And I would look around, and we had a good maybe close to 2.5 hours to finish. And I would look around, and there are people done. They were done. They were just sitting there talking to people. And I started to get a little bit nervous, but then at the same time, I'm like, no, I'm just going to sit back and relax because I need to create something that I need to create. I'm not going to worry about anybody else's timeline. I'm on my own timeline. And whatever this is going to be, whatever it's going to be when I'm done, is what it's going to be. So I need to focus here, and I have to not focus on looking around and comparing myself to everybody else. So that was another lesson I had to learn. So there are 3 things I always like to, when I talk to you guys and those of you who are joining in, there are 3 things that I want to cover about what I learned when I was rebuilding my piece of pottery. The first thing is, and I've said some of these things already, but I just want to make it into 3 points. The first thing is, things are different, right? When you rebuild, things are different. So be open to that change. There are different ways to mend and build something. You can't expect to rebuild things exactly the same. You have to be open to the end result looking different. And it's okay to leave pieces behind that you don't need. So for me, I made what I could. At least I made a bowl. And I really like it. I'm wondering, I don't know if I added my bowl in here or not. Let me see. No. Okay. No, I was loading up pictures like right before. But everything else that I didn't use, some people kept all their pieces and they just put it in their orb or their bowl or whatever they decided to keep. I took my bowl, put it aside. I gathered all those pieces and that dust and all of that stuff together, and I wrapped it all, and I was like, I don't need this anymore. and I dumped it, and so it's okay to leave the pieces behind that you don't need. So the first thing is, when you rebuild your life, when you rebuild something, understand that things will be different, but be open to that change. Number 2 that I learned is collaborate and ask for help when you need it. And, again, I was telling you, in life, for me, I could not have done what I do, or even what I continue to do, or what I even, I don't even know what I'm going to do in 5 years from now, without the, you guys are asking for the bowl. Okay, I'm going to have to load it here. Let me airdrop it to me, and then I'll put it up here. But, I wouldn't be able to do what I do without collaborating with the right people. That's the important thing, is the right people. I just need to airdrop this to me so that I can get it, so I can put up the bowl. Okay, so the other thing is you may prepare something, but you might not be ready to use it yet. So it could go to waste. Therefore, share and work together. So that was like the epoxy that I was telling you about, right? Okay, here comes the bowl. I'm going to drop it over there. Sorry. Okay, all right, folks. Let me see if I can do this. Okay, so, collaborate and ask for help when you need to. And here it is. It's coming. Okay, there's my bowl. Okay, so there is my bowl. There's my bowl. So that's what it was. So you saw my first, here, I'll move it over here. What if I can move it here, over here, and then I will put up the other one. Okay, so that actually was my one before, and then that's the bowl there. So anyway, okay, so I put that up there. So, again, collaborate and ask for help when you need to. And then the third thing I learned, so the first thing I learned when you wanted to rebuild something is that things are going to be different, be open to the change. Number 2 is collaborate and ask for help when you need it and from the right people. And the third thing, the hardest thing I think, was you have to sometimes give up control. So you can't be too focused and build up your pieces with the little epoxy, like what I was telling you, right? Because it doesn't bond. So you have to give up control. You have to be on your own timeline. That's what I was telling you. It doesn't matter if people are ahead of you. It doesn't matter if people are finished. You are on your own timeline, and you have to be focused on that and give up the control that you can't always keep up with everybody, but what you are working on right now, and you might not even know the finished product. You just have to be on your own timeline. And part of giving up control is you have to stay calm. Yes, Elizabeth says surrender. That is where the magic lies. So anyway, so that was our event. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy with the way it turned out. I'm so happy with who showed up, and whoever was there was meant to be there. And I learned so much, and there were a lot of tears. There were a lot of feelings there, but it was so wonderful. And I wrote down here, I just wanted to read you this one thing that I thought that I said just to finish up here, is that you can't just be the victim and be focused on all the negatives. You can't hide and close off what happens and just choose positivity without dealing with all of what makes your journey. But you have to sit and learn the lessons in all of it, because there is unique beauty in it all. So that is what the whole event of Unbreakable was about, Kintsugi. I'm so glad that I got to do this with my good friend Sarah Moneros and the Wee Spot, and everybody else that got to come out. Kirsten Hegelson, thank you so much for coming out and doing that activity with us. The women that helped plan it, Heather Williams, Christina Schnellman, and Kristen Beatty, and guys from NOCO, Chris and Charles, thank you so much for being there. But I just wanted to share what I learned, and I'm so glad that we did it. I don't know if we're going to do it again. We'll see. But it was a great event. And thank you guys so much for tuning in and learning what I learned. And I hope you all have a great week. And I will see you next Wednesday, 5:30 right here. All right. Bye.